Welcome to the Kool, the Kareem Matthews podcast. I'm your host, Kareem Matthews, and we're here again with my boy, my Ramley, point guard extraordinaire, Mr. Rodney Lusain. What up, my dude?
What's good, Playboy? At some point, I got to tell the audience about your. You keep talking about point guard extraordinaire. I got to speak on your basketball prowess and
Okay, well, yeah, we can make that a whole episode. You know what I'm saying? It's especially if UCSD do work. Like
uh,
That's my hope is that they get in or even make a run in their tournament, you know what I'm saying? So we can let these people know, you know what I'm saying, the history of where they at.
right
Because we got pictures and everything, you know what I'm saying?
documented.
Right. Records in the book still holding. Did the dude do that or no?
He close. He got like I looked up his stats last night. He got 85 steals. I think. I don't know what my. I thought my record was like 99,
Hmm. Well,
but they got.
if it's 99, that gives you hope. That's still 14. The season should be winding down, right?
They
Oh,
got
it's not?
they got like 8 more games.
Hmm.
They play till early March.
Regular season?
Yeah, before the conference tournament. So,
Hmm.
and he
Damn.
averaging. I mean, he averaging damn near 4 steals a game.
Well,
So,
yeah, nah. Then yeah, if he doing that, if
yeah,
and like y'all, Rod holds UCSD's single season steals record. You know what I'm saying? That record has to be pushing 30 years at this point, and a dude from this year's team is approaching it. You know what I mean? So we keeping our eye on that. You know, so yeah. But the reason I have you on here today is because I wanted to talk about the Super Bowl. We definitely gonna have some time to get into some UCSD. They just warming up.
right.
But the Super Bowl last night, man, I want to get your thoughts on it. Philly, you know, well, let me hear how you feel before I run my mouth.
Yeah, I mean, I was shocked. Shit, I didn't know Philly had that in them. Like, and I guess more so, I didn't know KC had that in them. Like, we knew Philly, they D was real all year. We know they got receivers, and Jalen Hurts had done his thing 2 years ago in the Super Bowl, so it wasn't a stretch to figure out like, all right, they could come out and ball. But I thought if they did, KC would be like, oh, okay, this is the kind of game it is. We'll just adjust
Match
to what
y'all.
y'all right, right. But for them to just get shut down like that, and
Dominant, yo.
Pat Mahomes
Dominant.
throwing bad picks.
I was gonna say stupid picks. He threw picks on two passes in a row.
Right,
You know what I'm
right.
saying? To Cooper DeJean in the white corner for a pick six.
Who
That's
house
when I
it?
knew it was over, yo. I was like,
And
on his
that,
birthday. You
right,
know what I'm saying? It was
right.
one point where they panned to the Chiefs bench, and I looked at the people at the party like, does this look like a team that's about to come back? Like they just went down the whole bench and no one was like nobody was talking. They all had their heads down. Like nobody was hyped. You know what I'm saying? I was like, you never seen these dudes like this. They got so many rah-rah dudes. Usually it's Kelsey or Chris Jones. Mahomes be getting in people's faces. They all was sitting in the line just like befuddled. Like, because I feel like they felt like we just can't beat these dudes. I
Uh,
feel like they got to a point early in the game where they were like, yo, it's not no adjustments that's going to be made. And, sometimes you just get that feeling where it's like, yo, because that's why I text you during the game. Philly wasn't blitzing.
right.
Philly didn't blitz once. All that pressure was just with the front four. Like, if you can't stop that, you know what I'm saying? And it wasn't like they was doing moves. Dudes was getting there on bull rushes.
Mm.
Just straight bull rushes, both those tackles. You know what I'm saying? I was like, man, this is what it did though. It gave me mad hope because I feel like our D line got some of that in them. Like I feel like our D line can progress to that point where we can get that crazy front four pressure with just the front four. Because when you do that and you don't have to blitz, then that's what they were saying. They were like the back seven is just sitting in a zone on Mahomes. That's why he was making those dumbass passes. Because there was no lanes. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, ooh, we have a similar blueprint to that. Like we got four dudes up front that them four alone, you know what I'm saying, can get us consistent pressure. And I feel like next year they got a natural step in them. Like it's not like a big leap to say they're gonna be better next year. Like Fisk left at least 3 sacks on the field last year. I mean, a conservative number. At the beginning, remember how many times he
Right.
would be in there and fall off?
Right.
And he still ended up with 8.5.
Right.
Like he should be double digits easily. You know what I'm saying? And then I saw something where Sean Merriman, they had Sean Merriman on NFL TV, I think, and he was talking about Verse. And he was saying how he loved Verse's game, but he don't use his hands. He said if Verse started using his hand, like, and he was showing like some of his rushes, like if he come, because now Sean Merriman is in that MMA.
Okay.
So he has like an MMA school, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, man, like somebody has to get this to Verse. You know what I'm saying? Like if he gets that, because I feel like that could take him from that 4.5, you know what I'm saying? Like I feel like them two, you can see where they're gonna take a jump easily, you know what I'm saying? And then Young and Turner, they pretty much came back at least as the same dude. Because Jalen Carter wasn't killing like this last year. You know what I'm saying? He took a jump.
Okay.
Because I think this is his 3rd year.
Did he kill yesterday?
Kill.
Did he?
Fumble, strip sack, fumble. Like, and that's the thing. It was, he had 1 sack, but it was the other D tackle had 2
Right.
sacks.
Right. That's what I was saying.
You know what I'm saying? Then Sweat had 1, but nah, Carter was in there. You know what I mean? It would be them where he pushed the dude push him up, push Mahomes up, and then the other tackle be right there to, you know what I'm saying?
Clean it up.
Right. Like Mahomes never had no time to sit in the pocket. Everything he did was like, I mean, he was doing some incredible running around, yo.
To get 3 yards.
I was like, they can't live like this. They just can't live like this. But nah, that game was so anticlimactic. Like you thought it was gonna be. It was no way it could be that kind of game. You know what I mean? Like the Chiefs was never in it. Like never in it. And I feel like they spit the bit early. Like early they realized we can't do nothing with these dudes. And they never tried to run. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? They abandoned the running game quickly. And then but you can't pass. Y'all can't pass block. So, you know what I mean? They was getting on Andy Reid for his game plan. They was getting on Spagnuolo, you know what I'm saying, for his game plan. Like it came crumbling down on them yesterday.
Right. Nah. And as I'm watching it, I'm like, yeah, they're gonna have a hangover. Like they've been avoiding it. Even the year they lost it. The year they lost to Tampa, they came back that next year and should have made the ball. That's the year Cincinnati beat them, and then we beat Cincinnati. They was at home in an AFC Championship game, so they've avoided any kind of hangover for far too long. And I felt like during the game yesterday, I was like, yeah, this is going to lead to a hangover. Like this ain't going to just flush out
Go away.
Game, right.
They're not just going to bounce back next season. I would love that. Because I've heard a couple people say this could be it for them. You know what I'm saying? This could be the end of their dynasty. They was like, all of a sudden now it's going to be very difficult for Mahomes to catch Brady. He was like, if he had won this one, okay. But now, and with the fact that we think they not going to get back for a minute, Because they was like Andy Reid is old, Chris Jones is old. You know what I'm saying? We'll see. We'll see. I would love to
Kelsey.
to oh yeah, right. Kelsey. He looked terrible. He dropped 2 passes. And then that one where when Hopkins dropped that one, I was
Yeah,
like, okay, man. Because at the party I was at, the people was like, oh, that's whatever. I was like, no, yo, a Pop Warner player would have caught that ball. Saying like they shook right now. Like I had never seen them like that. Like the way they play in close games would let you feel like they would never come and just lay an egg like that. I think that's what made you always think the comeback was coming.
right.
I think it wasn't to like 27-0, and I was like, nah, they not coming back. You know what I'm saying? But all the way up until then, I felt like this comeback is coming. We kept doing the math, like, okay, that's three touchdowns, and they go for two, 3 times. You know what I'm saying? And then I was like, we what are we doing? Like, they're not gonna do that. They have 0 right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and Brady. It's funny that Brady was there because he kept talking about I was behind like this in the Super Bowl once, and it's funny because
Mm.
you talk about how they panned the sideline, and all I remember from that 28-3 when Atlanta was up on New England was Brady just talking to his team, like, dude, we
Right.
got to make one play. Like he was just, and even at that time, I was just like, Tom, when you shut the hell up, y'all getting dug out. Like one play ain't gonna help, but sure enough, they made one play, and then it was just
One
it's
more.
right. And
Then
so for
one.
him to
And see,
be
the
just
the
dead,
Chiefs had none of that.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? The Chiefs, no one was doing that yesterday, and that's what made me be like, "Yo, look at these dudes." You know what I'm saying? That's what I said when they pay. I said to the people at the party, I was like, "Do you see anyone that looks like they ready to make a comeback?" I mean, they had clearly because they got blown out, but like they had no sign. They never showed any signs of like we here to fight. You know what I'm saying? Like they got jumped on early. Like they lost the coin toss, right? Or they won the coin
they won
toss,
the coin toss,
but they deferred.
right?
So the Eagles got it first.
Yep, and
Like
they
they
didn't
was net,
score.
huh?
The Eagles didn't score. Like the Eagles would have, but they called
Oh, that crazy ass PI,
right,
offensive PI, and right there, people was like, "Oh, here go the fix."
right,
But then when they showed it, he did go to the face. You know what I'm
right,
saying?
right. I thought it was a good call.
Right. Nah. On second glance. But when it first happened, it was like, no way. Here we go again. You know what I'm saying?
Right, but
But
they evened it out on the Eagles' next possession. Like they called Trent McDuffie for like roughness on like 2nd and 24. Think he hit.
mm,
Think it was Philly's tight end. He kind of hit him high. He didn't. It wasn't even helmet to helmet. Like it was. It was incredibly soft. And Brady was like, I don't like that call either. Like
mm,
Brady was hating on everything the rest was doing early.
mm. Right, right. Nah, and it's crazy that he was there because I think like all Mahomes' losses in the playoffs got something to do with Brady. Like I think he played against him once. You know what I'm saying?
The year they beat us. The year they beat us, and the
Mhm.
year New England beat us, Brady beat Mahomes.
Okay, well maybe twice then.
They beat him. He beat him in the bowl.
Right, with Tampa, right?
Right. And it's
Right.
probably his only win. And then he lost to Burrow. I don't know what Brady had to do with that one. But he had 3 playoff losses. Yep.
Coming in
Yeah.
because he may have been an announcer. Well, I don't know if he was an announcer, but he was an announcer in this one
Right. So
because they
yeah.
were saying he was an announcer once and he beat him twice, an
Mm,
AFC Championship game and a bowl.
right.
And he's loving that because that's the dude that's chasing him.
Yeah, and I felt like if he had got that one yesterday, he would have held the trump card. Like,
Right, because no one's done that.
right.
And now that crystallizing it to me how hard that three-peat is. Like now, the next time, or if somebody's ever going for that again, I'm a hella fade them. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like when I mean, that's kind of how I feel about Lamar Jackson right now. Like until I see him do it now, like I've seen you not do it enough that I'm betting against you until you do it. And that's how I am now with this 3P. Cause I was like, because was it the Patriots undefeated season for a 3P?
Nah, it wasn't.
It was just for undefeated season?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, nah. I mean, for this squad to go out like that 3P,
They was the first squad to make it to win two, then make it to the next Super Bowl.
the
Like nobody
Patriots.
no,
Oh, the
KC.
Chiefs.
Nobody had even done that. Like the teams that had repeated before had won two. That third year, they didn't even make the bowl.
I think the Niners was like the closest, right?
Right.
I think they got to the NFC Championship game and they lost to the Giants. That's when they knocked Montana out.
Right. Nah,
Mm.
and Roger Craig had to fumble late. Like
Mm.
Roger Craig gave the game away. Like they was about to be taking a knee, and he fumbled. The Giants recovered and went, I think, kicked some, sent it to OT, and then won it in OT.
Wow. Nah, because I mean, you play either like 3 or 4 games to get to the bowl, depending if you know what I'm saying, if you had a bye or not. So now it's coming up on an extra season that they played, at least 12 games. You know what I'm saying? So, you know,
And
what you were saying about
the bowls they won wasn't easy. Like they went to OT last year against the Nines. Really, I mean, they was down in the fourth. The year before that, Philly had them. If
that's
it wasn't,
right.
it was like that controversial PI call
Right.
where if they don't call that, Philly gets the ball back. Philly had already scored 35. So, I mean, it's hindsight. We looking back like, yeah, they was on borrowed time. Like I didn't see that. I didn't see it coming. But you look back over it now, and you're like, them dudes have been pulling Houdinis
For years.
right.
You know what I'm saying? And now, like you were saying though, what's the residual effect of that? You know what I'm saying? What is that going to lead to next season? Like, okay, we saw it made y'all just lay an egg in the bowl, but like, are y'all going to be able to just pick up the pieces and, you know what I'm saying? Because the football season is a grind, yo. Like, even as a fan, because it's crazy. When the season ended, I felt like when the bowl was over yesterday, I felt like, okay, now the year starts. You know what I'm saying? I honestly felt like it was a new year. Like, okay, this is actually the beginning of the year now. Like we actually gonna be doing stuff without football. You know what I'm saying? Because like we pretty much got embedded with these dudes in training camp. Like since training camp, we've been at, you know what I mean, pretty much whatever they do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? For like however many months, you know? So you can imagine that as a player, like, because they already been to the bowl 3 times in a row. They got to get up for another regular season. Like this year they could do it because it was for the 3P.
Right.
So you know what I'm saying? But to get up for a regular season next year, to just get back to the, you know, that's a great point. I wouldn't bet on that.
Right.
With the roster they got, they gonna lose a couple dudes, you know what I'm saying? To just say, oh yeah, they're gonna bounce back next year. Next year could be the fall off year, yo.
Right. Right.
They got a lot.
It could. Like we've seen it before. Like the year they lost to Tampa, I mean, they didn't fall all the way off next year, but they didn't get back to the bowl.
Right. Nah. And I mean they division. You know what I'm saying? What Harbaugh did with the Chargers, the Broncos, and now Pete Carroll with the Raiders. Like, and that's what I'm saying. If they don't come and be ready for this regular season, they can find themselves where they're like, damn, we fighting to just get in. Yeah,
Right.
nah, I wasn't a fan of either. The Eagles had beat us, so I wasn't rooting for them, and I definitely, I mean, I didn't. You know what I'm saying? If they had gotten a three-peat, it would have been cool to see that history. But to see them go out the way they did, I was not mad at that at all. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Like I texted you. I was like, man, I want to see him get shut out. Like I want as soon as it was clear that Philly wasn't gonna get up off of them, I'm like, I want a record set on y'all.
Nah, because they did they put some makeup on it. They scored, you know what I mean? It didn't actually look that bad. They scored 22. I was like, wait a minute, they had 22? They
Right.
had zero the whole game. When did that happen? Like, I was like, what did I miss? But I guess he hit Worthy on a couple late, like, you know what I'm saying? Touchdowns that, was like whatever. But yeah, nah. A shutout would have been perfect for ending for their whole dynasty. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Put the
Right.
bow on it.
Because they end up scoring the same number of points that we scored against Philly. Like we scored 22.
Mm, mm.
And so Ram fans on Facebook and whatnot, of course, was like, all right, we gave Philly their toughest game. So we the second best team. We would have did that to KC yesterday too. And it was either some Philly fans or just some haters coming in, like just hating on every aspect of those statements. But a couple of people was pointing out like KC scored the same number of points that y'all scored against them. So quit making it seem like
But y'all gave them a 40 bag. That's the difference. You know what I'm saying? RD was holding up except for them big runs that Saquon broke. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing. Saquon didn't even do nothing yesterday. It was the ineptitude of Kansas City's offense that lost that game. Like they D was holding them in there for a long, you know what I'm saying? But it's only so much pressure you can keep putting on the D. But them picks Mahomes threw, like we clearly played them better than Kansas City, yo. Like to say that they scored 22, we scored 22, that's strictly just looking at the numbers. You know
right.
what I'm saying?
That was all cosmetics.
Right, right. Because our 22 could have won that game. Like we literally had that last drive where it's many points you can point out on that last drive that we could have done better. You know what I'm saying? When we got the punt. Like to me, that's what was making me so hot. I was like, dude, I see what these dudes are doing, but they was not doing us like this. You know what I'm saying? They Carter, and that made me feel even better about our old line because I was like, Carter was getting in there against us, but he's been unblockable since. Like, really, they whole D line. You know what I'm saying? They was heating us up, but they wasn't heating us up like that. Like
Mm,
Stafford still had time to make plays, especially once we went to the no huddle. Like we had their D line tired on that last drive. You know what I'm saying? I haven't seen that D line tired since. They've been eating dudes up. I mean, and mobile quarterbacks.
right.
Stafford ain't even mobile. And we held him in there pretty good, especially on those last few drives, yo. Like early Carter was disruptive. He made the sack, the fumble on Kyron. Like he made plays. But towards the end, yo, we was wearing him down. Like, I don't know. It made me really feel like, dude, we was right there. You know what I'm saying? Cause we would have beat the commanders at home,
Right.
and then it would have been this.
Right. I
The,
mean, would Braden Fisk have been healthy? Like
mm,
I don't know that he would have came back even for that next week, let alone the bowl.
Cause
So
he
I
got
mean,
hurt in that game too,
right,
early.
and didn't come back. Like early,
Right,
right, didn't come back. So
right.
that's
That was
all.
huge.
Yeah, yeah, and that's been one of the questions after that game. Was like, all right, even if as we project going forward, like how healthy would we have been, especially if Fisk ain't there, because he's dope. Like he was coming up.
Right. Nah. But I mean, again, without him, that game we were still heating Hurts up. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like we would have still, and I feel like if we had gotten to the bowl, he would have been back. That would have been a month.
Mm.
But he did have surgery though.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. He had surgery this off season, so maybe he wouldn't have been back. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he would have needed that. I'm not maybe he would have needed that procedure anyway. So yeah, I mean it's all water under the bridge now. But I feel like we was so close. Like we looking back at it, I feel like we was a lot better than we thought. You know what I'm saying? Like we ended up going head up with the team that nobody could touch the rest of the way. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know. I feel like that bodes well for our future. You know what I mean? We just got to figure out what that's going to be. I feel like that's really at the QB. Like if we bring Stafford back, then you know what I'm saying? We can be similar to what we were. I mean, the wide receiver room gonna look a little different, but Puka's still gonna be in there. So
Yeah. I'm sitting here looking at the stats. Yeah, Braden Fitz had a sack that game.
before he got hurt.
And I guess, between the two games in the playoffs, I know we had 16 sacks. So it's not a stretch to think that we could have heated
Jaden
Mahomes.
Daniels up.
Oh, for sure, him. And Mahomes especially. Like I think we was gonna get Washington just on some straight OG. Like y'all
Y'all
ain't
not ready
really
for the moment.
right. And then KC would have been all right. We need to come with like some real game, but
We had 16 sacks.
in two games,
See, that's what I'm talking about. Like that's what Philly was doing. They probably didn't have 16 in their last two. You know what I'm saying? Against the Eagles and the Chiefs.
right? Because they didn't even. I think we still have the Super Bowl record for number of sacks. Like they didn't even get that yesterday. As much as they was on
Mm,
Mahomes,
mm,
they didn't get as many as we got on Joe Burrow
mm.
in that Super Bowl. Like we still got the record.
Wow. That's a good nugget. Nah, see, for this year and moving forward, them 16 sacks compared to what they did, like I feel like that's, you know what I'm saying? That's a very similar amount of pressure. What we was getting and what they showed against the Chiefs. And if that formula had KC looking like that, I feel like we can put that formula on some squads next year. You know what I'm saying? Like we was starting to get to that, to what they showed against the Chiefs. You know what I'm saying? We were starting to get to that level of chaos. I mean, we was bringing a little bit more blitzes than they were, but still, that level of disruptiveness is in us, I think. You know what I mean?
And I just wonder. I don't know. I mean, KC obviously didn't get no pressure on Hurts yesterday, but they held Saquon to 50-something yards on like 25 carries. Like Saquon averaged, his longest run was 10
Mm.
on 25 carries.
He had 25 carries,
And probably some of them was when they was just trying to kill the clock in the fourth quarter.
but they took him out.
Oh, did they?
They brought in Gainwell for the garbage. They took Hurts out too. So he wasn't getting, yeah,
Oh,
they brought Pickett in. So he
really?
wasn't getting, yeah, with like 3, 4 minutes left. That's why when you said Saquon had 25 carries, I'm like, damn, because he wasn't getting no garbage carries down the stretch.
Yeah.
Those was all real carries.
And his longest run was 10.
Mm,
And so I'm just like, all right, is it like a true pick your poison? Because then they have four dudes that have receptions longer than 20 yards.
And
Four
one of them was
different
like
dudes.
Jahan Dotson.
Right,
He caught the first tee,
right. Which
which
probably,
no, which if
yeah.
you had that in Vegas, like I saw a prop where his over under yardage for the game before the game, his over under yardage was 3.5.
Damn. And
And I
you remember when we played Philly the first time
Oh, you
And
brought him up.
and the Slim Reaper wasn't playing. And I
Right.
was like, dude, they got Jahan Dotson.
Right.
You
Right.
know what? It was like Jahan Dotson sucks.
And he did that game against us. He went to Penn State.
Right.
Him, Saquon, you know what I'm saying? And they all back in Philly. But I remember before the game when I saw his yardage prop at 3.5, it caught my eye. I didn't play it, but I was just like, first of all, why are they giving him a prop? And then, I mean, it is the Super Bowl, so they probably have one for everybody. But then I was like, 3.5? I was like, that's hella low. But
Yeah.
for them to even have it, I was like, that's weird. And then he ended up catching the first touchdown on like a 30-yard, you know what I'm saying? Like literally his first catch covered everything that he needed
Yeah.
to do.
Right.
But then he had a couple after that.
Mm. So now it's like they had all them explosives in the passing game, which they didn't do to us. But it's like, all right, they contained Saquon, but gave up all them explosives.
Right.
Whereas we didn't give up the explosives, but Saquon hit us for two bills again.
Right. Nah,
So
I mean, it is very hard to take both away from them. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing. That's what that O line allows. Because they can run block and pass block. You know what I'm saying? They like, if we throwing it, we can give him time. And if
right,
we just run and Saquon, we can open up holes. So however y'all want us to beat y'all. And I've heard people in the week leading up to the game saying, you got to take, Bill Belichick, I think, said, you got to take Saquon away and make Hurts beat you. And it wasn't like, well, actually, now you brought up those explosives because AJ Brown only had like 40 yards, I think. Like they didn't have huge numbers,
right.
but they did have, each one of them receivers had one big play. You know what I'm
I
saying?
think he only had 17 completions.
Mm,
So
okay, right. And one MVP.
right. Nah, and my book became the first real black quarterback.
Mm,
He played like a black quarterback. Like Mahomes low key does, but Mahomes is pocket.
right,
Like
right.
Williams pocket, Russell
Russell
Wilson
Wilson.
pocket.
Uh,
Like
I never
no
thought about that.
no real dual threat QB
Has
had,
won
had
it.
won the ball. Like, and that was always my angle. I was like, dude, like until I see that work all the way to the bowl, then I'm not rolling.
Mm,
He was like, all right, watch this. He led
right.
us.
Nah, I never looked at that angle because I'm always under the assumption that we've already had a black QB win it. You know what I'm saying? And then this is the second time where I was like, we had a black QB against a black QB.
Uh,
But you're right. The real I played like the black QB that they didn't want to play QB, like a Lamar Jackson. You know what I'm
right,
saying? But nah, you're right. Nah. I mean, I like that angle for him and them. I don't like them. You know what I'm saying? But it's hard not to like the dude. You know what I'm saying? He hella poised, like even after he had won. And they were saying how his screensaver was him and the confetti from last year. Him walking off the Chiefs confetti, like that was his screensaver on his phone all year. I mean, so I can definitely be happy for that. And that's a great point about the real dual threat QB. Like he's actually the first one to pull that off. You know what I'm saying?
right,
That breaks down some barriers.
right. 17 completions, but 11 carries.
Mm, damn. How
Like
many attempts?
22.
Okay. So he was accurate.
Right, right. Nah, I mean,
Nah, 17 attempts. Like that's the real dual threat shit. He damn near ran it as much as he completed it. You know what I'm saying? And it worked.
right. One rushing TD.
That was the tush push.
Right. Two passing. He threw a
Mm,
pick. I didn't know he threw a pick. He must have threw a pick late.
late. Right. Right. Damn.
I finally got around to shooting all the Philly fans I knew some congratulations. Like I came across one on Facebook last night. I hit him with one, and then today I just sent dudes. I know for some reason I know a group of Philly fans like way more than I wish I knew. And the
Right.
whole day I was just a hater in me was like, nah, man, like I ain't like if they post something and I come across they post, then cool, but I ain't seeking
Wasn't
that.
going out your way.
Yeah, and then finally today I was just like, man, let me go on and bow. I don't
Nah.
have a real reason to hate Philly. I don't know why I do. I mean, it's all because of what happens when they come to Ram game.
Yes. Right.
Uh,
Nah, and from what they had done to us twice this year, you know what I'm saying? That's what got me mad. And I honestly feel like they prevented us from winning one. You know what I'm saying? But you're right. After it was all over, like the Jalen Hurts story, I could be cool about, and they were so thorough about it. You know what I mean? When you thoroughly do anything like that, you take away the doubt. You know, they didn't even give us no room to be like the refs. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever excuse you want to use. It was really nothing was valid. You know what I mean? They made it that thorough, and that's I can never be mad at that. You know what I mean?
hmm Nah, fly Eagles fly. I can't be mad at them. Um, they did their thing.
Nah, they did. They did. It was pretty thorough.
And it's to the point where, like, one of the Philly fans I texted, the one who was like, I honestly thought y'all was gonna beat us. I hit him with a little like that should have been us, but for the most part, I haven't been entertaining no Ram fans. It's like, dude, even you when you was texting me yesterday, I was like, man, we couldn't have did this.
Nah, but we could have won. You know what I'm saying? We could have
Right,
won. And I mean that, I guess your dominance does go on your ring, but shit, as time goes by, it fades on how dominant you were. It just people just remember did you win or not. You know what I'm saying?
right.
So, nah, I don't I honestly and you made the point like because you said we hadn't scored 40 all year, you know what I mean? So yeah, we wouldn't have done that. But I mean, as long as that blue and gold confetti was dropping at the end, you know what I'm saying? It
Right.
didn't have to be as dominant as they did. But they did it thoroughly enough to make me be like, okay, this is y'all championship, you know what I'm saying? So it is what it is.
I mean, and I saw something like, what's the 5 things the Rams can take from what Philly did? I mean, and I think the first one was obviously we got the D line to replicate what they did. Like
They said that
yeah,
because that's what I was saying.
that's built in.
Mm.
I mean,
It's
I think they was just like the trenches.
okay, nah,
They
because that means O line too.
right, and they was like Phillies tackles is behemoths. Like they put the graphic up yesterday comparing Philly's starting O line to like the Packers in Super Bowl one. I
Mm.
think the Packers O line averaged 6'3", 240, whereas Philly's line yesterday averaged 6'6", 338.
Right. They said it's the biggest offensive line ever in the Super Bowl.
Mm.
They were the biggest offensive line in Super Bowl history by height and weight.
And that makes me want to go back to Jonah Jackson. Like I want
Mm.
I want us
At
to
what position?
at center.
Mm.
I mean, if we bring
That's been my thing for years.
right,
The huge O line. That's why I wanted your boy Dewan.
right,
Whenever there's a dude in the draft like that, you know what I'm saying? I want him because that's
360, 370.
right. That can move though.
Right.
Dude played hoop. He was dunking. You know what I'm saying? And that's like my Lotta. They got him from rugby.
Uh,
When you get big dudes like that can run around, That's a whole, you know what I'm saying?
Jared Verse was punking him.
Mailata, which
Had
is
him
unbelievable.
had him jumping.
Nah, again, I'm so happy to hear you say that they said that, but we got the line to replicate what they was doing.
Defense,
Yeah,
true.
defensive line.
Well,
Look how
what we gonna do on O line
Yeah, I don't
to
know if we can
replicate it?
quite rep. I don't know if their O line is replicatable right away, but that's what I was saying. Our O line ain't that far off. They wasn't killing our QB like they was killing
Mm.
everyone else's. And that's why I was saying that made me more confident in our O line, how they went on and did everybody else. I was like, we was mad at Dotson and Limmer. They got the lowest grades of our O line that game. But what was these guards and centers getting? You know what I'm saying? Like our guard and center graded out higher than anyone else's against them, I'm sure. You know what I'm saying? Because the other tackle was eating yesterday against us. It was only Carter. I mean, he did enough, but it wasn't like everybody was eating. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that made me feel a little bit better about our O line. Like, okay, they not Philly's O line, but not too many squads are.
But
But we
you put Jonah Jackson in
and
at
get a new
center
tackle
in place of AJ
or who one of the two.
Havenstein. Havenstein ain't going nowhere.
Okay, well then it got to be AJ and Havenstein is big,
So that would be a draft.
right?
Potentially.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, so the trenches, like D on D, we there. On O, it's
We
one or
not
two moves.
far,
Right.
right?
And it's pieces in house. Like, even if the only move they make is going back to Jonah at center and giving him a whole off season, that's the only move they make. We just got
Bigger,
40 right, 40 pounds
nah,
heavier.
nah, and
Little.
that's why I wanted to keep that big three in there. I fought it, you know what I'm saying? But once Jonah started fumbling the snap, you can't fight that. We can't have turnovers, you know what I'm saying? But that would get us as big as possible.
Right.
And because that's what you need to hold them dudes off, Carter and them, you know what I'm saying? So nah, I'm with that. I'm with that. And it's funny because we're talking about the off season, but P hit me up today.
Hmm.
He want us to get Joe Burrow. Not this off season, but you know what I'm saying? Because shouldn't he be coming up, or did he just get re-signed?
I think he got resigned after the bowl,
Mm.
or at some point after the bowl, he got resigned.
Okay, so he did, huh? But nah, P want us to try to get Joe Burrow. You know what I'm saying? He was like, that's the perfect replacement for Stafford. And I was like, if we gonna do that, then we gotta start by getting Chase.
Immediately, right?
Right, this off season. Like if we pry Chase away, you know what I'm saying, then that weakens him wanting to stay there. You know what I'm saying? And then that also makes us the destination for him to come to because we got your receiver.
Right.
But when he put that out there, because I remember we had that conversation, I was like, I don't think McVay's ready for a run around quarterback yet
Right.
to replace Stafford with.
Right.
And like deep pocket passer left, we can't get Goff back. You know what I'm saying? Other than that, it's Burrow. Like that would do similar to Stafford. I mean, I don't know. It's the way P said it. P wanted to trade Stafford, Huck, a first this year, a first next year, and a second for Burrow and Chase.
Cincinnati wouldn't do it.
I know. Because
What you had, I was thinking it was possible to you said Burrow and Chase.
I know.
Maybe that for Burrow.
Uh,
And the Lakers just got Lucas, so shit, anything is
it's
possible.
possible. No.
But
Because Because to me, like we would give them a receiver and a QB, but they both would be a downgrade from what you have. And then we would only be giving them two first. Like, is that enough to make up for that downgrade?
Yeah,
No. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, you say a downgrade, but that's still serviceable as hell.
No, it is. I mean, we almost got you see what we did this year with it.
Right.
We
And
went further than them.
Cincinnati has felt the pain from them two in a bowl. Like
Right.
they know
Nah,
firsthand how it feels to just get 9 to 10 all the way down the field for the win.
nah, absolutely. But my thing is they older. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? They older, both of them, than Chase and Burrow. So you would have to, you know what I mean? Give them something to make up for that. Because now I feel like for the next year or two, you still cool with Cup and Stafford.
Right.
It would be year 3 and 4 where we like, aha. You know what I'm saying? Thank you for this. But now when he brought up Burrow, I just was like, ooh, that would actually be the kind of dude that McVay would want to replace Stafford. I don't know how that would go down, but he was like, we need to talk that one into existence. You know what I'm saying?
Nah. Yeah. Let him trash out for a couple of more years in Cincinnati.
And that's what I'm saying. That's why we need them to not get his pieces back. Because Chase is up, Boyd is up, or Higgins. Higgins, they
Yeah.
already lost
Boy,
Boyd.
wrong, right.
Yeah, Higgins is up. Like Hendrickson is up too. They defensive dude. I'm like, if every year they don't bring some of these dudes back, at some point he gonna be like, I'm not staying here for this. You know what I'm saying? That's the way. That's one of the ways I see him wanting out is if they start losing his pieces.
Right. Nah. I definitely felt like their window is closed. I don't give a damn what they bring back. I felt like
Mm.
that window is closed.
You think it's closed?
I'm
Uh,
high on Cincinnati. You know, the year, I think it was the year KC beat Philly the first time. I think they beat Cincinnati in the AFC Championship game. And I had Cincinnati to go to the bowl that year. Like, I was like, Cincinnati is about to go win it.
mm.
Um, but nah, these last 2 years, I'm just like, that magic is gone.
Because I remember after we beat them, you was like they gonna get their reboot. Like you thought they was gonna get their chance to get theirs back. And I remember being like, nah, man, like what it's no guarantee you go and lose that you gonna get back, you know? And they haven't been back. But I feel like with Burrow, your window is always open.
Yeah, I mean,
That's all they
offensively,
ever been.
really,
Even when they went, they D wasn't cool.
it was. It
Uh,
wasn't.
They
It
had
wasn't
Hendrickson.
right. They had them dope safeties as now and like at Bates and
No,
uh
that was Buffalo.
they safeties was dope. Like they one of their safeties is in Atlanta now,
Oh,
right?
actually, nah, that was yeah, right. That is him, Bates.
Um, they had a cool linebacker, couple of linebackers, but one white middle linebacker. He don't end up getting called on the PI for Cup on our last drive, but it really
Mm,
wasn't PI. The rest
right,
was caught
right,
it.
right,
Um,
right.
no, I mean that year they held us to 23 in the bowl. Like, I mean, they held us to 23. They held KC to probably 21 in the AFC Championship game. Like, they didn't have to be killer, but it was enough.
No, I was gonna say their D that year was underrated. It hasn't been that good since. You know what I'm saying? Like you're right though. I actually looking back on it, that D the year they got to the bowl was very underrated. They was holding teams close enough for they owe to win games.
Right, right. Nah, I don't. I mean, it's probably premature. I could probably get plus money in Vegas if I went and said Joe Burrow will never get to another bowl with Cincinnati.
No, you definitely can get plus money on that. Cause it ain't no, you know what I'm saying? It ain't no guarantee he gonna be in Cincinnati that much longer.
Right. Um. So yeah, I mean that. Well, not big plus money. Like maybe minus 150. I mean plus 150.
Right. That he
Like
won't
that.
get back with Cincinnati. I think you probably would get plus 200 at least.
Okay, then shit. Yeah. I don't know if that equals door closed, but I feel pretty good that they not getting back to a bowl. That they gonna trash out these next couple of years. I think.
Well, if it's them trashing out and KC trashing out, so that leaves the AFC kind of wide open then. You know what I'm saying? Buffalo, Baltimore. I don't believe in either one of them though. So it could be a team like the Chargers coming out, you know what I mean? Coming up. Or another one of them teams in that division.
Denver.
Denver. Interesting. Interesting. He thinks the Cincinnati Bengals are about to trash out. Okay.
Right. Nah. I would. I got to see how this quarterback roulette play out, but I feel like I'd pick them for last right now. Like
Mm. Mm.
Miles Garrett lead Cleveland, and all bets is off. But I feel like Cleveland is not as nasty as. I mean, they went to the playoffs last year, not this
Right,
past.
but they don't have a QB though. You know what I'm saying? Like until they figure out QB, I can't put them ahead of Cincinnati.
Yeah, I don't know why I feel like they gonna figure it out because they ain't never figured it out. But
When they do have a high pick,
mm,
they could get Cam or Shador. I don't know. We'll see. But I want to before we get too far away from it, I want to see what you thought about the halftime. We
mm,
never spoke on the halftime. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, man, I felt like everything Kendrick do is subliminal. Like
Mm.
you can't really take it on surface level because low key at the start of the performance, I was like, dude, this is not hype. Like, and as it went on, I was like, okay, and I'm riding. He West Coast, so I'm like, dude, I gotta ride. But when people were slamming, it was like, dude, this is boring. This is whack. Like, I couldn't fight him immediately, but now as 24 hours has passed, and it didn't even take 24 hours. Immediately, people started being like, dude, did you see this? What did that mean? Like, I feel like it's enough subliminal stuff in there where people is like, dude, he's low key genius. Like he just did this major ass protest with Trump in the building, but it didn't feel like a protest. Like it felt like, just Kendrick being Kendrick,
Performance.
but
Right, right.
on so many levels, he was shooting shots
Mhm.
at America on a bunch of different shit. So I'm feeling
Okay.
it because of that.
Right, right. Nah, I'm glad I let you go first, and I'm glad you brought that angle up. You know what I'm saying? Because from that angle, okay. You know what I'm saying? But everything you were saying before that, I was with because I felt like it was a good performance. It wasn't a great performance. Like I feel like he had the choreography that I thought you needed for the Super Bowl. Like I felt like he had a couple songs that were big enough for the Super Bowl, but then I also felt like there was a couple songs that was more for like niche Kendrick fans. Like if you didn't really know Kendrick, you wasn't like thinking this song was popping. You know what I'm saying? And then like a couple of the things that they did that the dancers was doing, I felt like it's more for niche Kendrick fans. But you brought up the point of the subliminals; they all was in part of that. You know what I'm saying? So for like when the subliminal message, yeah, the random fan wasn't gonna get it. You know what I'm saying? So bringing that point up makes me appreciate it a little bit more than I had been appreciating it. But before the Super Bowl happened, and even now, my whole thing was, and it just kind of was reinforced yesterday, was it should have been Wayne. Like, I felt like the whole weekend was so New Orleans. Like, you felt New Orleans in everything of up the whole weekend. Like, they had Jameis throwing crab legs at people. Like, every event was like New Orleans showing they people. You know what I'm saying? Until the halftime performance. Like, even the national anthem. I mean, everything was like with a real New Orleans twang to it. You know what I'm saying? And then Kendrick, to me, I kept saying this. I was like, this is like if when the Super Bowl was in LA, they let Wayne do it. How would we have felt? You know what I'm saying? We would have been like, oh man, you know what I mean? And that's how they are. You know what I mean? Like, and like how you were saying, Kendrick is West Coast, so I'm gonna throw him for Kendrick. I'm everything LA, and he did a very solid performance. But I just think Wayne, you know what I mean? Wayne would have. He's New Orleans. He would have been able to, have material for the neighborhood. I mean, I just feel like the whole time, and then I felt like Kendrick left enough room for you to be like it could have been Wayne. Like, it wasn't a smash performance where you were like, okay, we had to have that. Like
Right.
that was necessary for tonight. You know what I mean? It was
Right.
kind of like, I mean, he killed Drake, but I'm like, he killed Drake at Juneteenth. Like, I feel like Drake was dead that day. Did we really need to kick the dead body again? You know what I mean? Like, you know,
Uh, yeah, I mean, they brought out Master P before the game.
oh, did they?
They had Southern's band doing like some pregame stuff. Yeah, I mean, New Orleans got enough rappers where, because I also felt like there should have been more cameos. Like, that's what
If
made
Wayne had done it, he would have had cameos.
That's what made the one in LA so dope. Like Dre and Snoop was enough, but then I mean Eminem is your cameo. Like
Right.
Eminem's like,
52,
dude, I should be, huh? Right,
50.
right. Either one of them could be like, dude, I could be headlining. Like I could be on the billboard by myself, but I'm sitting here doing half a song.
Right.
Uh,
Nah.
nah, I agree.
And
It
then it felt like with Kendrick, it felt short. When it was over, I was like, that's it. But kind of like what you said with the one in LA, it was like, damn, we saw all these different people. Like, it felt like a long Super Bowl performance. You know what I'm saying? Last night when Kendrick was done, I was like, damn, that's it. Like, I mean, the guest was Serena. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, I don't
yeah,
know.
I
I get
mean,
it. She used to date Drake, you know what I mean? But again, like you said, it was a lot of subliminal shit. You know what I mean? Where if you wasn't in on all the subliminals, you wasn't just like, oh, this was a great show. Which there is something to that as well, but I don't know if that's the Super Bowl audience. You know what I'm saying? I feel like Wayne could have gave you a more universal for the Super Bowl audience. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, like I feel like uh Kendrick was Juneteenth at the Forum was like perfect for what Kendrick does and did. You know what I mean? Like that was the perfect venue for that. I feel like the Super Bowl, I don't know, in New Orleans at least. Like,
nah.
I don't know. That's just my take on it.
And I think next year the bowl is in LA again.
No, Frisco, the Bay.
Let's go.
Yeah, we getting it in a year or two though.
Right. So I mean, you had to strike while the Kendrick iron was hot. So I get it. Like it fit the time. Like the times we living in, Kendrick was right for it. I mean, and
Mm,
we petty as fuck as a country right now. So
no.
I mean, for him to be like Serena, I want you to come out. I mean, he was petty in so many ways, but it's gonna be like in one of my classes this week, like they was like, can we break down the whole Super Bowl performance? Like they really want to get into like what did this mean, what did that mean? They want to present what they theories are about what the sublime. So I mean, it's feeding in that way. Like I feel like it's gonna live a little bit longer than it would have lived if Wayne had performed.
Okay.
So it's
Nah.
gonna go. It's gonna go through this week. I feel like with people coming back, feeling like, oh, I saw this, and what did this mean? So I mean, that's kind of the vibe we own. I feel like between the pettiness and just the subliminals and trying to be slick with it.
Right.
But
Nah.
you're
I'm
right.
glad to hear this perspective. You know what I'm saying? You changing my mind on it a little bit. It's crazy your students want to break it down.
Yeah.
Are y'all gonna do that?
Yeah.
Mm.
We are. We are. Just, it's they world. Like, and because everything that went down was not like us in terms of just all the stuff that, when the song came out, it was a hella breakdown on that. Then when the video came out, there was a hella breakdown on that. The Juneteenth, so I feel like this is just a completion of that like series of
Okay.
every part of this that's come out. You've had to sit and like break it down for like a week
A
or so
week.
minimum.
Okay.
And so
Nah. I
that's what they own. They like this is the next thing. And so
okay.
I
Nah.
missed I trail behind. Like I trail behind on all the Kendrick stuff. I was behind. Like even by the time Juneteenth, I was kind of caught up a little bit. And then everything he's released after that, like I'm
You fell back behind.
right. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go on and let y'all do this, and I'm gonna learn, and I'm gonna be the student, and y'all gonna be the teachers, and all that. So
Nah, that's good. I think that's a great exercise. You know what I'm saying? From all perspectives. Like I want to hear more about that once it goes down. You know what I'm
right,
saying?
right.
Because
But
I knew there was some subliminals involved, but it sounds like they say it's way more than you think. You know what I mean? So yeah, enlighten me.
oh yeah. Nah, I will. But I agree. Like on a straight party perspective, it shouldn't have been Kendrick. Like it should have been Wayne or Cash Money or whatever. New Orleans got some back that thing up.
Right. I mean, Wayne has a whole catalog. Like Wayne could have picked. That's the thing. I mean, it was only been 2 or 3 songs. You know what I'm saying? 3 or 4 songs. Like he could have done that, but nah. You have me pump my brakes with the whole cycle of all this that's been going on with the Drake, subliminal situation. Like it does seem like this was the perfect bow on that whole, you know what I'm saying? That whole thing. Like this
Right.
brings that to a completion. You know what I mean? Drake is completely obliterated. Like you're now done, and we have
Right.
all this new material to sort through. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, he sued to prevent it from happening, and that didn't help.
right. And I get it. Like after watching it, I'm like, yeah, this is fucked up. Like if I was Drake, I would be like, really, dude? Like,
Nah, I mean it is, but it's a rap battle though. Like, when have you ever heard of a lawsuit in a rap battle? Like, I feel like you lose more cred for doing that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because you won the lawsuit and it still didn't stop the dude. Like, I don't ever remember someone taking the beef to court.
right? But ain't been no rap beefs featured at the Super Bowl. Like, uh,
Yeah. I mean, usually from rap beef, someone dies. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what we've been
literally.
used to. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know. I feel like
The
You lose
NFL shouldn't have given
him
that
that platform.
platform to further just stick the knife in. Like, really?
Nah, and that's the crazy part that a diss song turned into this. You know what I'm saying? Got him the Super Bowl. He won a Grammy for it, for this song. Like beefs have never risen to that level either. You know what I'm saying? Beefs have never become award-winning pieces where kids want to study it and shit. You know what I mean? Like when Pac and Big was going through their stuff, it was literally for the underground.
Right.
Then once they died, it became, national news, but then it dipped back into the underground again.
Mm-hmm.
But this, you right. I mean, shit, this got him a Super Bowl performance.
Right. That he used in every sense that you would expect him to use it. Like he didn't go outside of himself. Like he was
No,
just like, look, I'm just going
do
I
me times 10,
right.
which I thought was very good. You know what I'm saying? Like that part, and that's what I did like about it. Like a lot of times when you see these performances, like not even at the Super Bowl, but I think it was I can't remember his name, but a younger white rapper. But I think he did like the NFC Championship game in Detroit. You know what I'm saying? I was just like, ooh, it's just too big for him. Like he's not even used to this size of a stage. You know what I'm saying? Like it just felt like him being on the field was just like, you know what I mean? He was getting swallowed up, but you didn't feel that with Kendrick at all. Like he had the dancers, like, he was able to fill up that space, which is hard to do. You know what I'm saying? Like it takes a real good artist to make that big arena. He shrunk it down to like, you know what I'm saying? Where he could still be Kendrick, which I was like, okay,
Nah, and
just
that's we didn't even mention him as a cameo from 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
oh,
Like he
right.
cameoed with Dre.
At the bowl, right in
Like,
LA.
and
Right.
so I mean, and that still is consistently ranked as like the best Super Bowl
Halftime.
halftime ever.
Right. It's
Yeah,
up there.
and he got his moment in that. Like he
Nah,
got right. So it wasn't it. He was fully aware of what it was.
right.
He wasn't
Nah,
walking in blind at all.
I forgot about that too. That I'm sure that helped prepare him for this. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times I think that's what you see. Like when you in these stadium performances, is way different. You know what I'm saying? You got to find a way to make that big area little. You know what I mean? Like it's funny because when you brought that up, what popped into my head was the difference between Fat Joe and Cube doing that arena style thing. Like Cube was able to, you know what I'm saying? He had it planned out. He walked all the way in from center field and like stopped at the mound, went to the plate. You know what I'm saying? He used everything.
Right.
Fat Joe, it just seemed like it was too much. Like, you know what I mean? Like he didn't know where to go, where to be. Like, and that's how those big venues can be for artists, But Kendrick, yeah, nah, you could tell he had felt that environment before because it wasn't, what I mean? He had his dancers, like he knew how to use all that space, which is what you got to do in that kind of, you know what I mean? In a performance like that. So, nah, you swayed me over a little bit on the Kendrick because going in even after I was like, see, man, they should have gave it to Wayne, but breaking down everything else that was a part of it, I'm like, okay, nah, this was
Right.
good. You know what I'm saying? This was good. And it's gonna have legs. Like we gonna look back on it and be like, you know what I mean?
Right.
This
Right.
came out of that and this came out of that. And you know what I mean? Shit that we're not even thinking about right now.
Right. With 47 in the building. Like
Right.
the fact that he was there, and I guess they was getting some pushback because they claim he did it, but I don't know. But they used to have end racism.
Oh yeah. Nah, they
And
said Trump told him to take that out. Yeah, stop racism in the end zone. Trump told him to take that out. Yeah. Yeah, he did, Joe. Hello? You froze. I think we lost Rod. All right, well, yeah, we finished another. Let me see. We did 107. All right, well, I'm gonna work on these connection issues with my boy. There he goes. But yeah, this has been another episode of the Kool, the Kareem Matthews podcast. I'm Kareem Matthews.